Your sins are forgiven. How simple, how profound. Yet again, I open this ancient codex, the Bible I claimed from the dying priest, and delve into its words to recalibrate my perception. It's not because I need a crutch or some religion to cling to. No, I turn to this book of Matthew for wisdom, for power. Its account of Jesus is a lesson in mastering life's complexities. Today, I revisit the passage of the paralyzed man, Matthew 9:1-12. Not because I am here to preach to you. Quite the opposite, I'm here to challenge you. Here is a man, paralyzed, stuck in a state of stagnation. Let's be real, he's not just physically paralyzed. His spirit is shackled by the weight of his failures. Sound familiar? How many of you are stuck right now, paralyzed by fear, doubt, and past mistakes? Your sins, your shortcomings, failures, misjudgments have rendered you immobile, unable to move forward in life. But then, Christ steps in and declares, your sins are forgiven. What does that mean for you? Is it some mystical absolution? No, it's a direct challenge, a command to rise up and reclaim your life. Most people talk about sin as if it's merely a list of moral failures, a collection of do's and don'ts, but that's a shallow interpretation. Sin, in its most profound sense, means to miss the mark, to fall short of your God-given potential, to shrink in the face of life's challenges, to cower and accept mediocrity instead of striving for mastery. That's the kind of sin that paralyzed this man. He wasn't just a sinner by the rules of religious men. He was a sinner against his own destiny. And you, reading this, might be in the same boat. Maybe you've convinced yourself that you've messed up so badly, failed so often, that striving for anything better is futile. Every endeavor you've pursued has ended in rejection, failure, or dead ends. And now you're here, curled up in the fetal position of your spirit, terrified of further failure. You've let the weight of your past dictate your present, allowing the fear of what might happen to overshadow the drive to achieve what could happen. But then, Christ speaks, your sins are forgiven. This isn't a blanket pardon for every mistake. No, it's a declaration that says, get up. Your failures are part of the process, not the end. They're meant to refine you, not define you. This is the way telling you to rise up and continue your pursuit. Life doesn't care about your comfort. It cares about your growth. And if you're not moving, you're decaying. But here's where the story gets interesting. The Pharisees, those self-appointed arbiters of morality, are outraged. They seethe with anger, questioning, who does this man think he is, forgiving sins? You know why they're upset? It's not because they care about the man's condition. It's because they see their influence threatened. They've built their power on the belief that they are the middlemen between God and man. Without them, forgiveness is impossible. And now Jesus comes along, offering forgiveness freely, directly, without their so-called authority. Isn't it the same in today's world? There are always those who set themselves up as gatekeepers. Those who believe they have the right to judge you, to tell you whether you're worthy of forgiveness or success. They sit on their thrones, declaring that you must first grovel at their feet, prove your worth to them before you can be blessed with their approval. What arrogance, what folly. Who are they to stand between you and your divine potential? When Christ forgives the man, he shatters this paradigm. He exposes the absurdity of human hierarchies, showing that no one has the power to stand between you and your growth, your evolution. Your mistakes, your shortcomings, your failures are between you and God, not you and some middleman. When Christ says, your sins are forgiven, He is severing the chains that others have placed around you. He's saying, you don't need anyone's permission to rise up. You don't need to bow to societal gatekeepers who hold your past against you. Yet, here you are, paralyzed. Why? Because every time you've set out, life has struck you down. Your dreams have been crushed, and you've retreated into the shadows telling yourself, maybe this isn't for me. You've allowed rejection to define your worth. But understand this, the paralysis you feel is self-imposed. It's a lie you've bought into, a narrative that says your past failures disqualify you from future success. And that is precisely the narrative that Jesus destroys when he says, your sins are forgiven. This is about you. Yes, you. You set out on your journey, naive, thinking success would come easily. Then reality hit you like a storm. The world rejected you, laughed at your ambitions, and you fell. Now you're here, broken, questioning everything. But here's the secret. This is exactly where you need to be. At this moment of self-doubt, you stand on the cusp of a revelation. This is where refinement begins. Your sins are forgiven. Do you understand what this means? It's not just a spiritual phrase. It's a call to arms. It's permission to try again, to reevaluate, to take a different approach. It's the way of life telling you, get back up, keep striving, keep pushing. Life wants you to flourish, to make things happen. You were created for that purpose. And if you fail, you refine your approach, not give up. But let's not be naive about this. Forgiveness doesn't mean ignorance. You need to reflect on what led to your failures, your initial starting environment, cognitive biases, and naivety all played a part in your defeat. You grew up around people who valued leisure over diligence, who chased status and pleasure over purpose. Anchoring bias conditioned you to believe that their way was the right way, that mediocrity was acceptable. And now, here you are, wondering why you've been beaten down by life. Critically assess your situation. Don't wallow in self-pity. Understand where you went wrong and why. This isn't about punishing yourself. It's about refinement. You failed because you were ignorant, not because you're unworthy. Now, with the knowledge you've gained, you can move forward with a new strategy. Failure in the genuine pursuit of success is not a death sentence. It's a stepping stone. You have to see your mistakes as lessons, not as a measure of your worth. So, how do you proceed? You rise up, take stock of what you've learned, and attack life with renewed vigor. The Pharisees of this world, those who judge you, who claim the right to dictate your worth, are powerless over you unless you allow them to be. Christ's declaration, your sins are forgiven, is not just spiritual balm. It's a weapon, a sword that severs you from your past failures. It's permission to pursue mastery without the weight of judgment holding you back. This time, you operate from experience, and in God's life, experience is king. You're no longer that naive dreamer. You're a refined warrior, hardened by failure and seasoned by struggle. You now understand that life is a garden. You plant seeds, water them, and then you reap the bounty. The beauty of life is that it disregards your past mistakes. The moment you start doing what works, the bounty process begins anew. When Christ told the paralyzed man, "Get up, pick up your mat, and go home," he was telling him and you that the past is irrelevant. What matters is what you do now. Life's garden is waiting for you to plant new seeds, to take new actions. You cannot go through life as a mere clone of others, as a slave to your past conditioning. You must take what you've learned and forge your path. But beware, people will resist your transformation. The Pharisees, those self-righteous gatekeepers, will scoff. "Who do you think you are?" they'll say. "How dare you? We know who you are, what you've done. How dare you forgive yourself and move on? How dare you pursue greatness without our validation?" You must be prepared for this resistance. They will try to shame you, belittle you, convince you that you owe them an apology for daring to reclaim your life. Ignore them. The truth is, no one has authority over your autonomy. No one can hold your past against you except you. Life has already forgiven you. God has given you another chance, and you must seize it. These self-appointed arbiters of worth are jokes to God. They are jokes to life itself. They wield power only because others have allowed it. But you are under no such obligation. So, what's next? How do you ensure you don't fall into the same traps again? Refinement. If you fail, you return to the drawing board. If you succeed, you do it again and again until the process becomes second nature. Success is a combination lock. You keep tweaking and calibrating until you find the winning formula. Stop being embarrassed to fail forward. Failure is not fatal. It's a vital part of the success process. Each time you fail, you narrow down what doesn't work, refining your approach until you hit the mark. Life loves this pursuit. It honors those who strive for mastery, who refuse to be paralyzed by fear. As you move forward, remember, your past mistakes are forgiven. They do not define you, they refine you. Your sins are forgiven. Take this declaration as your marching orders. You are not here to merely exist or to live an easy life. You are here to make things happen. The past is a lesson, not a life sentence. You now have the experience, the knowledge, and the authority to pursue your God-given potential with relentless determination. So, if you've stumbled across this entry, know this: my ways are not like your ways. I am not of any of your human religions or lifestyles. I am not here to coddle you. I am here to confront you. This isn't about being a Christian. It's about efficiency, growth, wonder, and evolution. It's about actualizing your highest potential and using it to shape reality. Christ's words to the paralyzed man are not just a story, they are a directive. Rise up, leave your failures in the past. Your sins are forgiven. It's time to reclaim your life, to strive for mastery, to challenge the gatekeepers who dare to tell you what you can and cannot achieve. This is the demigod code: to endure, to persevere, to refine, and to rise. Life has bet its chips on you, invested its evolutionary life force within you. Now, it's your turn to respond. What will you do? Will you stay paralyzed, wallowing in self-pity, or will you get up, stand tall, and move? The choice is yours. But understand this: life itself has forgiven you. Now it's time for you to forgive yourself and act. And always remember that we are warriors, we are champions, we are gods.